when you think about Danganronpa, you never think about a series that should have died out in the cultural zeitgeist, but instead rose to massive global popularity. The story of this series runs beyond an evil bear getting a bunch of teenagers to participate in a murder game. It's a story about the internet. It's really a story about how the internet can take something and turn it into a cultural phenomenon overnight. Alright, imagine this. Imagine you're Kazutaka Kodaka and you make this weird, stylish murder mystery visual novel, and it does fine enough to justify a sequel and a side story, but nothing that's gonna change your life. Then, out of nowhere, it's like 2016, and you're getting check after check after check every month because this game somehow just blew up into popularity, when before the only thing you were getting in the mail was offers for timeshares in Miami, Arizona, and then all of a sudden, the phone won't stop ringing. You're getting calls from producers left and right being like, "Hey Kodaka, how you doing, brother? Hey listen, I need you to make me another sequel to this game. I swear to God it's selling out like fucking gangbusters. But we're working on like 2 different anime series for the fucking game. The merchandising is out of control. I swear to God I keep getting requests to turn your characters into big sexy statues." Journalists are like lining up at the block to interview you. Streamers and content creators on the internet are making like big videos that get a ton of views. When like a few years before, this was just a game that was released on a console that was literally dying. Like the PSP was done by like 2010. It's the kind of overnight success story that only looks obvious in hindsight. The moment when a niche creator realizes the internet has turned his offbeat murder mystery series into a massive cultural phenomenon. Alright. So let's start off with the premise. A bunch of teenagers get trapped in a murder game, and everybody's basically dressed like they got all their clothing from a fucking Hot Topic clearance aisle. Now, what makes this game so memorable, so lovable, is the characters, even the dumb ones. Alright, look, you got this ultimate baseball star, this ultimate pop idol, ultimate affluent progeny, whatever the fuck that means. But they all have sharp designs, distinct voices, even the characters you just want to strangle are memorable. And either I have Stockholm Syndrome or that's just good writing. Now look, I don't know how the fuck they pulled it off, but the tone of this game works when it otherwise really shouldn't work. Bright candy colors, jazzy electronica, and sudden grisly murders. It's like if Scooby-Doo and Seven had a baby, but then they handed it like a big bottle of Jack Daniels. The contrast keeps you off balance and glued to the motherfucking screen. That UI, those comic book trial sequences, the way text literally slams onto the screen, every frame of this game screams personality. And you can tell the developers really care, even while they were probably wondering if this would ever even be successful. Now let's talk about our protagonist here. Makoto himself is not cool. He's lame as fuck, he's not a genius, he's not a secret ultimate talent hiding behind his fucking a hokey. He's a kid who looks like he'd lose a fight with one of those fucking Japanese vending machines. And I wanna be honest with you, that's probably why I like him the most, because I'm also lame as fuck, and I'm not a secret detective, and I don't have some badass talent. And that's where the writing of this game really kicks in, because every character, not just Makoto, starts off somewhere, and they end up somewhere completely different to where they started off. For example, Kyoko goes from trusting absolutely nobody to maybe opening up a little more. Byakuya goes from like this smarmy, stuck-up prick to a smarmy, stuck-up prick that kinda cares about you. Toko goes from this totally crazed psychopath to someone who has learned to accept all the terrible things about them, and even gets some of the best character development I've ever seen a character in the spin-off Ultra Despair Girls. Aoi probably has the most generic lesson of all of them, but I still think it's important to have, because at some point or another you're gonna have to face your fears no matter what you do. Now, I can't say that Yasuhiro really had an arc. It was more like a full circle, because you pretty much learn that you can be so inept at something that no one could think that you planned out one of those murders that methodically and that intelligently. But each black in themselves is also just a different representation of failure. Sayaka hatched a plan that was so dumb you swear it was a fucking Three Stooges act. And Leon Leon left so much evidence you could fill a fucking whole season of CSI. Mondo, he may have been strong on the outside, but on the inside, he was nothing more than a coward that couldn't face his weaknesses. And he couldn't handle that Chihiro was a stronger and better man than him that could actually face his weaknesses head on. Celeste was the queen of calculated risk. She spins an almost perfect murder, stacking the odds against her opponents like poker chips. But gamblers live and die on that one faithful hand. And Celeste was a fucking bust. All it took was one blow, one little blow, and her entire house of cards came crashing down. It's an incredibly trashy game that has everything I love about trashy shit. Garish pink blood, jazz funk soundtrack, courtroom bullet arguments, pop idol metal drama, a fucking teddy bear with a stand-up routine and a desire to just see people get murdered left and right. On paper, it sounds like a fucking fever dream or something. In practice, it's one of the most consistently entertaining visual novels of the last decade. It's also just a perfect artifact of the early 2010s. I put this game in the category of like Slender Man and Minecraft. I just put it among that category of early 2010s internet culture that took a game and exploded it into popularity. Fan translations, Let's Plays, Tumblr gift sets, sprite edits. This game grew in popularity because it was shared, dissected, memed on, argued about. The fandom just consumed it. They helped build its legend. And with the announcement of Danganronpa 2x2, that legend hasn't ended. Oh fuck no, that legend continues.